Welcome to the CEN show, a platform where we learn from the world community. I am your host, Rashki Maskani, and this evening we have on the panel Professor Amin Ra, and we are expecting other people to come. They may come, they may not. And our guest this evening is Andre Vaughn Rose. And the topic of our show is the mindset of a real estate investor. So I'm going to turn it over to you now, Mr. Rose.
Thank you. And I'm excited. I think the information that I'm going to be sharing with everyone, if you're into numbers, if you have interest in having money grow for you, you have an interest in real estate, and you appreciate the services of a contractor, I think the information I'm about to share with everyone is going to be of value. So this is my logo. My name of my construction company is Vision GC. I'm a commercial agent with Keller Williams Realty. My specialty is apartment building, selling apartment building. And that became my specialty because very early, I got started by buying what they call a R3 lot with a distressed asset on it. It was a fixer-upper. And I was simply out there in my early 20s just looking for a place to lease. Saw this sign in the yard, and the rest of the story I'm going to be sharing as we go along. But I'm into apartment buildings, rental property. And this is my business card. The other thing is, I don't know if this QR code actually works, but at any point, if you see this card again, they're welcome to scan it. All my information will pull up. So if they need to speak to me in the future, they're welcome to. I have two business numbers that people generally communicate with me on. This is the real estate number. And the next slide, you'll get to see the contracting cell phone number that I use when I'm on job site managing construction projects.
Mr. Rose?
Yes, sir.
It works. So anybody that sees it, they can pull up that QR code. It works.
Oh, super duper.
Yeah.
So, just a little bit more about me, maybe the first couple of minutes. So I grew up in New York, and if you made a hood, and I'm proud of it. It was a struggle, but it taught me a lot of things, taught me to keep my eyes open. I saw poverty, and not very far from where I live, I can also, on a bicycle, travel to other neighborhoods that was considered prime real estate. And when I came to California, because it was so natural, because we have a lot of apartment buildings in New York, I naturally gravitated towards apartment buildings and also doing contract work because my family was actually in that business. And I don't know if anybody here is from the East Coast or maybe come from a building trade, but when I was growing up in the late 70s, early 90s, in the hood, you can actually buy an abandoned building from the city, which was eminent domain, for only $1. And I had family members that was in that business buying distressed assets. The only thing is that pretty much we had to come to an agreement with the city to provide 40% of the vacancies once we basically built the property out, make sure it was in good living condition. We had to turn around and rent it back to low income housing. And the family members that was involved with that was the better side of the family, the more established side of the family. They had nice cars, they had homes, and they did well versus the side that I came from. We were definitely from the hood and it was very poor. Again, this is my information, Andre Vaughn Rose. I'm also a licensed realtor. I'm not a real estate broker. I'm also an investor. And as we go through these slides, I'm going to show you an investment opportunity that I'm in escrow on and what I plan to do in terms of making an asset that is currently upside down create cash flow, much the same way most investors see assets in terms of potentially what you can do to it over time to create income and also create leverage. As I was putting together this slide, I was thinking back where actually the seeds of the thought of growing money, building wealth actually came from. And a lot of us who are readers are probably familiar with this book, Think and Grow Rich. And it was interesting, a friend referred to me at the time, a tax attorney, and he was right here in the LA area. I went to his place of business. He was right on Crenshaw Boulevard. And we connected right away. He prepared my taxes. And he saw me as kind of like, if you may, ambitious. And I noticed he had a whole library of books, but a lot of them were duplicate books. And he says, you know what, kind of like you, I think you should have this. So I took the book home. And I don't want to get into all the various things the book teaches, but the cover speaks for itself. And if more people were here on the panel, I was going to kind of query to see how many people might have read this book and to see if anybody was impacted the way I was, because it totally changed my paradigm in terms of what I can do as a person just through thought followed by action. And in short, the purpose of this investment shop is this presentation is designed for entry-level investors or for curious people, you know. We'll discuss terms associated with real estate. We'll attempt to make you aware of your market in California, the numbers regarding pricing trends, rental rates, flipping opportunities, and relevant investor strategies particular to our local market. And yes, I'll be having a few easy questions for those who've grown up in a home, been around real estate and certain real estate jargon, where, you know, depending on how many answers you answer right, I'll be more than happy to send you a gift card for $50, $60 to buy you and someone special some breakfast. Also, we'll discuss briefly the power of leverage. Things like no money down, which is available to veterans, 3.5% purchases, conventional purchases, which require about 5% down, and typically what investors do on larger scale projects, usually got to put up 20, 30% down of cash. And also the power of cash out refinance and what's behind the strategies when investors do that. Now, I did wanted to get into 1031 exchange, but maybe if you invite me along again, Ringo, I'll do a little bit more on 1031 exchange because it's a very powerful tool investors are using to scale the ownership of multifamily assets. And just in learning and understanding how it works, most of us will find out, wow, that's pretty easy. And it comes with a lot of benefits. And then, you know, we have acronyms like OPM, which is thrown around a lot in real estate. And I'll be checking later on to see who knows what that acronym stands for. Now, I noticed just through reading Think and Grow Rich, me and many other people that is in working most of our lives are suffering from what I call mental blocks as it pertains to wealth. And because some of us are not really readers, a lot of this information is not getting to us. And I'm going to try to summarize it and show it to you in a number of formats so it makes sense to you. But here are some of the myth understandings about wealth. And there are 8. So the first one is, I don't need to be an investor. My job will take care of my financial future. Now, I did work for the utility company from the time I was around 24 years old, the local DWP, and I made very, very good money. But it just seems like every year um, I was kind of at par with my debt and my relative to my savings, just didn't seem like I was moving forward. So if you're one of these people that believe, my job will take care of my financial future, if you wait too long, you will be in for a surprise. But here's the truth about this particular myth. You do need to be an investor. Your job is not going to take care of your financial wealth. And I'm willing to bet there's a few people here that is realizing that after 20, 25 years of punching a clock. Another myth is that I don't need or want to be financially wealthy. I'm happy with what I have. Well, you need to open your eyes. You do need and want to be financially wealthy. Because if you've lived a short life like I have, there is so much unforeseen about life, whether it's your health or other family members in need of resources. And you would only hope if you had the capacity or the ability to help, you could have. But if you don't think you need to be financially wealthy, that is a myth. You do need to. Another myth is it doesn't matter if I want it or need it. Well, you can't predict what you can and can't do until you try. Another thing is investing is complicated. And I think as we get into the juicier side of these slides I'm going to show you, you're going to see it's very simple. And again, it's only as complicated as you make it. Also, another myth is the best investment requires knowledge most people don't have. There might be a lot of truth to that, but if you're a reader, you can find it. Your best investment will always be in the areas where you can or already have understanding. Investing is risky. I might lose my money. The truth is, investing by definition is not risky. And again, I'm going to show you why and justify these truths that I'm sharing with you. Successful investors are able to time the market. In successful investing, the timing will find you. And again, I'll show you examples to support that. All the good investments are taken. Every market has a share of good investment, and I'm going to show you where you can find opportunities in real estate investing. Again, here's my information, QR code. I want to play this short video just as a warm-up and getting into some of the subject we're going to be getting into.
I continue to hear whispers of an impending wave of foreclosures echoing throughout the corridors of the real estate market, particularly on YouTube and other social media channels. Homeowners, investors, and industry professionals alike are casting anxious glances at the horizon, wondering if a storm is brewing. But is this concern grounded in reality, or is it merely the product of collective anxiety, a shared case of recency bias or wise anticipation of the next housing bubble? This video delves deep into the data, separating fact from fiction, to comprehensively analyze the current state of foreclosures in the housing market. Don't be anxious about what the future holds. Instead, study the data so you can be prepared for what's coming.
So let's get into it. The data.
I continue to hear whispers of an
Hold on, let's get into the data. And a lot of us know who Mr. Warren Buffett is. Let's see what he has to say before we get into the data here.
With rising inflation, interest rates, and the dawn of a recession looming large, a lot of people are currently panicking about what this means for their investments, careers, and financial future. However, has everyone lost sight of the bigger picture? Contrary to popular belief, economic downturns are nothing but a golden opportunity to build wealth. We dare say it is a once-in-a-decade opportunity to get rich. Still skeptical? Well, walk with us here for a second. Have you ever seen a rich person truly complain about the recession? That's because when the economy goes down, their earnings go up. As a matter of fact, Warren Buffett addresses this himself.
Who's winning in this economy right now?
The rich, guys like me. You know,
Oh,
we have
very.
gone from having 93 billion, top 400 in 1982 to having 2.4 trillion, 25 to 1.
Just think about the economy as a game where the rich hold all the cheat codes. There's a really interesting chart that we'd like to show you. But first, eliminate the fear of recessions and the crash of stocks by listening to these wise words from the Oracle of Omaha.
Well, I don't think there's a particular risk in the economy over time. We will have recessions from time to time. And we had a real doozy in the fall of 2008 and early 2009. And that has had more consequences than other recessions have had post-World War II. But the American economy is a wonderful machine. It really works. It's worked since 1776, and it'll continue to work. But we will continue to have ups and downs.
The moral lesson here is simple. No matter how bad things look, never forget that recessions are a mere characteristic of economic cycles, and when handled perfectly, could provide extraordinary opportunities that could change one's financial future and life for the better. Take a look at this chart of the S&P 500's returns in bull and bear markets. Did you notice any patterns? Every crash in the stock market was followed by, with rising inflation, interest rates, and the dawn of region, and some areas may continue to flourish.
So, just to start wrapping our minds around some of the numbers we'll be going around talking about, there's some terminology that's always being thrown around, and they call it cash for keys. And I was wondering if anyone that is out there knows typically what are these things, the term or the phrase cash for keys associated with. Anyone? Want to make a guess, Ringo? You guys on mute?
Don't know. You
Cash for keys,
Professor Ra.
Professor Rock?
Well,
The terminology cash for keys?
cash for the keys to your house?
Foreclosure,
Foreclosure.
the foreclosure market. And I meet people all the time, small investors. They may own a home, maybe one rental property, and they can't seem to get into position to buy more because they're waiting for the foreclosure market to come. But I'm going to show you some facts to show you that this foreclosure market that everybody's sitting around waiting for is not happening. And while it's not going to happen, in the meantime, those who are buying and holding, and I'm going to show you that also, have seen significant appreciation in the assets that they did buy. So the term or the acronym NAR is associated with the National Association of Realtor. And they're the one who study the market nationally, locally, and on all levels. And here's something that is factual, that since the market crash that took place right here in 2007, the government has changed and tightened a lot of the lending guidelines since that time. Because I was one of those people that bought investment property with a single sheet of document. And it was called a stated income loan. And I was able to buy a duplex with that. And in this market, if you attempt to go out and try to buy real estate, you must have good credit, you must have reserves, okay? You must be gainfully employed, among other things. But for those of us that are waiting for a foreclosure market, since the guidelines, the lending guidelines have tightened since the crash, the likelihood of it happening is not going to happen. So those of us that was hoping to get rich through the foreclosure market, you're wasting your time if you're waiting. But if you would like to get rich in this real estate market, we're going to get into and show you some of the ways you can do that. So the question is, does the above acronym, and I think I already covered it, which is NAR, which studies the market locally and nationally. So A monthly mortgage payment is often considered a forced savings account that help homeowners build a net worth about 40 times higher than that of a renter. And this is a known fact. Let's get into the numbers some more. So here's a quick question. Anyone? When the value of a property keeps climbing when you don't have to do anything, this is known as? Ringo?
I don't know. Brother Terrara or Brother Machinda, Professor Ra?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
When the question is, when the value of real property keeps climbing and you don't have to do anything, this is known as what?
Equity?
Appreciation.
Appreciation.
Oh, okay, Keisha.
So I did everything I can to scan these statistics that was gathered by the National Association of Realtor. And can you see this chart here? Here, these lines? I was wondering if I zoomed it, would it help any?
Yeah, zoom it a little bit. It's you can see it if you get real close.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Ouch. Let me see here. I think the next slide we can get a little bit closer.
Yeah, that we can see that better.
So they've been tracking over the last 10 years what the average appreciation rate is. So if you look here to the right, if you own any type of real estate over a 10-year period, you would experience a natural about a 7.5% appreciation in the asset itself. And you didn't have to do anything. Just the property itself, if you owned it for over 10 years and you decide to sell it, you would have accumulated from doing nothing about 7% annually of appreciation. And for those of us who live in California and have been looking at the market or maybe even own property, this wouldn't be anything new to you, because you'll probably find out whenever you see for sale signs go up across the street or in your neighborhood, or a friend or a family buys a home and you hear what they're paying for. If they're in your neighborhood, you're going, girl, or whoever that person is, oh, I only paid $500 for mines in 2005. Now they're selling for $850, almost $1 million. Ringo, you're in Inglewood, correct?
Around the corner in LA.
Around the corner in LA.
Inglewood's about 2 blocks away.
Okay. I'll work on trying to get this digital slide here. I thought something else was very, very, it's empowering, but discouraging at the same time. Can you see what it says right here? Ringo, by chance?
Affordability index.
Affordability index. So if you look at this chart right here where I'm circling, this is 2012. 2014, 2016, all the way to 2022. And what they're finding out, because of the appreciation of property and the slow growth in people's income or their ability to afford home ownership, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, people's opportunity to own. And the only way to put a stop to that is you have to get educated and find a way to get into home ownership. Before I move forward, just speaking on this subject, for those of us who have mortgages that are fixed rate, there's one thing we can count on, that for the next 30 years, hopefully you have a 30-year mortgage, your payment is fixed. Now, if you are a renter or if you're leasing properties like I do, And because I have a long-term strategy, I'm trying to create passive income. What I do annually is take advantage of the natural 6% rent increase that I can apply. And because I'm doing that, with the investments that I own, I'm actually creating more income for myself, and I'm not even working for it. Somebody else is paying for it. So anyone that is renting, understanding these things and nipping this problem in the bud, the sooner you do it, the better. But let's continue to move forward. This is a little close up again of the same thing in terms of appreciation. What we're seeing in the average home that sold for $868, 5 years ago, or let's just say 4 years ago, is now worth $1 million. And there are places in Inglewood right now. I think it was probably when the rates was at an all-time low. For the first time, I remember getting the information from a realtor, coworker, that single-family homes now in Morningside Park are selling for over $1 million. And this was in 2020, April of 2021, when the rates was at an all-time low. All right, let's keep it moving. Again, NAR is very active in gathering information on appreciation of the market and in forecasting the market. Some of the biggest name in the financial institution, they're here, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, based on averages over the last 60 years, some of them are predicting an appreciation rate as much as 10% annually on real estate. Some no lower than roughly, these are MBA or mortgage-backed securities. They're seeing appreciation no less than 6.5%. Well, gosh, I wish I can blow this up a little bit more. I wanted to get into this asset that I'm in escrow on because I'm going to get into the numbers on it. Can you see the price on this one here, Ringo?
Is that 875?
875,000.
Yeah.
This is a 3-unit. And then if you look at it here on the side, these are all 1-bedroom, 2-bath. So there are 3 1-bedroom, 2-bath here that they're selling for $875. Let's move to the next slide. So I'm going to give you a street view of the property so you can kind of see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go back to the slide. So this is a street view of the property. I think this is important because I'm going to get you a bird's eye view. Right here on the side, you can see a 4-car garage. See that?
Yeah.
Now, because of this area, and I'm going to talk about that too in detail, about ADUs. You gentlemen familiar with that term, ADUs?
Anybody know that? ADU.
So ADU is the latest thing. Our mayor, Bass, the city of Los Angeles, and also the state of California, there's a major housing shortages. And one of the solutions they came up with is allowing homeowners and people that own assets with garages to convert their garages into living spaces. And in the other slides to come, I'm going to get into rental standards and what I can realize once I convert these spaces to living spaces in terms of additional income. Let's go to the next slide. So this is a bird's eye view of the property. Can you see it here?
Yes.
And let me get a little more close up. All right, so I want to show you a copy of the worksheet that my lender prepared for me. And because I've already refinanced out of my VA loan, I'm a veteran, and I can afford to use it again since it's been over 3 years since I purchased. So I'm going to show you the numbers on the financial worksheet, and this is with absolutely no money down. How are we doing on this visual, Ringo?
That's good. Prosecute Mascani.
So we were anticipating that the value, because a lot of listing agents, as a strategy, we might list it low. We want a lot of exposure. So I had her qualify me for up to $1 million. And as you can see right here, it's 100% financing. Okay? And this is the rate that I'm getting as a veteran. But probably more importantly, I need to take a look here at this payment. Can you see that amount?
Yeah,
What does that say?
8,000.
$8,000, 300.
Mm-hmm.
That's PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now, this would not have been the first time I've worked with buyers looking to invest. I bring them something to me I see a lot of potentials with. And when they look at that payment or what they potentially could have to bid up to pay for that property, they're like, man, why would I want to buy that? I'm going to be upside down. I'm also going to show you the rental income that's coming in off that property, why that property is upside down. But to your average buyer, not having the foresight, not understanding leverage, not understanding rental standards, and I'm going to show you that too, this does not look like a good deal. But when I saw it, I immediately made a full price offer, and I'm currently at $920,000 on this asset. So I didn't actually have to go all the way to $1 million, but I wanted to let the listing agent know that in the event it goes there, I can go there. I can offer that much, you know. And of course, you know, we would be hoping that the property does appraise for that price. Let's go to the next slide. So I think we've already covered that. Let me get through some of this other boring stuff here. I want to get into the numbers of this asset. So this is a floor plan of the asset. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So where I really want to draw your attention to is this 4-car garage here. I have a senior lady that is living in this unit here, right? And she's only paying $1,100 a month. She's on Section 8. She's been there 3 decades. And she was a friend of the owner, the family, that leased that unit out to her. These other 2 units here are vacant. And I'm going to get into I'm going to show you the rental standards to what I can get for these vacant units. And then we have this 4-car garage here, which I plan to turn into rental property. So let's get into that a little bit more. So I'm sorry about the very poor sketch. I did this on my computer, but we already are familiar with, this is one of the units here. And right now today, and I'm going to show you the rental standards for the housing authority, I can get $2,500 very easily for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And I can get another $2,500 here for this other 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And then because this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, I can get for this unit $3,000. How much am I upside down, Ringo?
It's 8,000.
You remember what I was paying before? On that note, on that
It was it was 8,301, right?
8,301.
Yeah.
So I'm holding a 3-unit property that I'm only going to have to go into my pocket $300 a month to hold. Well, I want to round it up because I have to pay for gardening and water, if you may, on a regular basis. So we're just going to throw another $300 on there. And even with this $2,500, I'm going to show you based on the rental standards, I'm still being conservative. But before we move from this slide, what I'm going to do as a builder, contractor that I sometimes offer to my client, I'm going to convert, let me just back up one more time. I'm going to convert these two garages here into a one bedroom. I'm going to combine these two right here into a one bedroom. And then I'm going to combine these two again into a one bedroom. And at the end of the day, I can just quote right off the hip, which is more than enough money. It's not going to take me more than $150,000 to build out a brand new these two one-car garages into a one bedroom. I'm talking about a kitchen, new bathroom, brand new floors, new electrical, you name it. And then I'm going to do the very same thing here with these other two garages. And I'm going to show you the rental standards in a minute to show you how much cash, once I build those out, that I'm going to be receiving. So the sketch is a little, I don't want to spend too much time trying to focus on it, but you kind of get the gist. These are two-car garages here, and then this is the other two. So in my slides, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, this is the rental standard since October the 1st of 2023. And if you remember right, I have mine at $2,500. I'm already under the market. I can very easily rent it for $3,000, but I'm just being conservative. But I say that to say when I'm talking to people and about investing and they don't have these numbers, they don't have these facts, in their mind, it's like, this doesn't make sense. Why would I do that? So again, I can easily get roughly, if I have 3 2-bedroom units, I can realize $9,000 a month. And then you remember I was talking about the 1-bedroom, the conversions of the garage? Look at this here. $2,100 per unit. This is an additional $4,200 of income I'm going to be able to create monthly. Because I understood the number and why purchasing this asset, even if I paid over the appraised value, how I'm going to win. We'll keep it going. So a lot of my buyers are going, well, where am I going to get money to do repairs, remodels, and improvement? Well, I'll tell you right now, we call this in the industry a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. If you don't own property, you may not be familiar with that terminology, but it's there if you own property because of the natural appreciation of real estate. We also have other people's money that you can have access to. There's plenty of private money people that if you have a plan, meaning an approved set of blueprints, you have a contract to build out in the conversion of those 4-car garages, there's people that will put up the necessary cash to help you develop or build out that investment. These are just some of the rates people the banks are offering, whether you need $40,000, $50,000, or $60,000, but this is only available to people that own real estate. And again, this is HELOC. And sometimes I get the rebuttal from buyers, well, if there's an emergency with the roof, where am I going to find the money to fix that? Or if there's a plumbing problem, where I'm going to find the money? If you own property and you're managing that asset properly, and your credit is good, you can easily get a HELOC. Lenders will lend you money against your asset because they want to help you to maintain, and they stand to make money. And these rates are going to vary depending on your credit, among other things, and depending on how much money you're borrowing. Let's get through a little bit much. One of the concerns I sometimes hear from new buyers is, or their concern is, what if someone is not paying rent? What am I going to do? I'm going to have to hire an attorney. Where am I, how am I going to get legal advice? Are anybody familiar with this terminology here? AOA, this acronym? No?
Think so. Well, maybe.
This is the Apartment Owners Association of Los Angeles. Let me show you what their annual membership cost and how you get free legal advice, and you get forms from them if you're dealing with a legal matter with a tenant. I recently renewed my membership with them. And I'm sorry, yeah, I know the print is very small, but does it have the dollar amount on here? It probably doesn't. But I can tell you this, it's less than $80 a year to have this membership. Whenever I have vacancies, I call them up. They send me the latest application forms to run credit and gather information. I print it out as part of my membership. I give it to prospective tenants. They fill it out. I get it back. I scan it in. I send it to the association. They run the credit for an additional fee. They review all the information that is on the application in terms of whatever they've said their earnings are, where they work, how many family members. They verify the social security number. They look to see if there's any eviction. All of that for $80. And they have lots of eviction attorney should you run into a situation where somebody decides they're not going to pay any rent. All right, so we'll keep it going. So these are just terms associated, or benefits, if you may, associated with owning investment property. Anybody can buy it. It appreciates in value over time. It's rentable. It's improvable. You get so much deduction. And for those of us that are making good money that don't own any assets or real estate, once you do buy and you go and you sit down with your tax preparer and you do a long form and you see the type of return you will be getting now that you own real estate, because part of all that taxes you're paying, you're going to get back. Part of all that interest you're paying, you're going to get back. And I'm going to touch on some of the benefits of owning real estate. And part of the appreciation that you can take, that you're going to also get back against all the taxes you would typically pay when you don't own real estate. This is just another visual. Typically in the early years when you first buy, you're more heavily debt on your investment. You might have a little equity, but over time, this whole thing will reverse to where you're really sitting on money, if you haven't pulled it out, that you can put to work for you. I've already talked about return on investment, tax write-off, growth through equity, college education savings. So this is personal. I remember before I actually owned anything and I had a business savings account, I had a habit whenever I went to the ATM, if people left receipts at the ATM, I would look at them. Because I hear people talk about, oh, you need to have 6 months of saving and you need to have emergency money. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm making money at work, but I can't seem to save no money. And I noticed a lot of the receipts at the ATM when I looked at them, and including myself at the time, we were just living from paycheck to paycheck. But if you own real estate, what a great way. It's kind of like a forced savings account. Let's see here. How many of these tax write-offs are not applicable to a single family homeowner? There's only really 3 here. One of them is the operating expenses. You'll be able to have those deductions available to you if you own investment property. That's not available to you if you own a single family residence. And then the other one is capital improvements. Now, don't take this video and send it to the government, but what I used to do is any major repair I did to my home, I put it against my investment property. And I was able to take all of it, all that deduction. So capital improvement is a deduction you can take against the income you would normally pay taxes on if you own investment property. And then let me see, the maintenance expenses. You know, toilet, paint. This is another one that's typically only available to investors or people that own rental property. This is kind of important because in my early years, I made the mistake of trying to manage my own asset. And I would never forget it. If my tenants were late, I'd call them and say, hey, you know, you're late. I didn't get it in the mail, or I didn't notice you went to the bank and deposited. Then I give them a couple more days, maybe 2 weeks. But I noticed over the years, certain tenants, they would get comfortable and then maybe a whole month would go by, you know. And I just got to a point where I said, okay, I decided to hire a property management company and remove myself from the equation. And one of the things I do when it comes to investment property, or what I sometimes counsel new investors, is do not let your tenants know you own that investment. Leave a lot of space between you and them. If there's any notices that need to be served, have somebody else serve it. If there's a call that needs to be made, have a management company do it for you. And especially the minute they get beyond the grace period to pay their rent, you definitely need to get them served, because they need to know this is business and you're serious. Just wanted to share that. So you definitely want to always at least form some kind of relationship. Having the apartment association is kind of like having that, but without the full management at your disposal, because they can give you some legal advice. And then if you need an attorney, they'll be more than happy to refer management companies, eviction attorneys, and they have a whole list of contractors if you need referrals as well.
Okay, now let's get some questions to you before we move on.
Sure.
See, we might have some questions. Professor Rod, you have any questions so far?
Well, appreciate what you said, if I understand correctly. I have a lot of questions, but go to someone else right now. Give me last, you Rashidi.
All right.
Because somebody's calling.
Brother Tawara.
Yes, sir.
Brother Tawara, we barely could hear you.
Stuff like that.
Speak again. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, my question is about land. Understand about, investment property as far as, foreclosure on homes and triplexes and whatnot. What about land, that can be utilized where you could build a home on it, or land that could be utilized as like a compound family type of property? to get away from this nuclear family type of thing. Is all, did you deal in that area of expertise also? Like
Are you
40, 50 acres, 100 acres,
in California?
no, anywhere that, anywhere in America. You're just dealing with the California type thing, or is it nationwide?
California.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you have any information or knowledge about land acquisition?
The little information that I do have, because I've attempted to purchase land before, whatever the sales price is, you have to come to the table with 50% of that cost. And land finance company will finance the other 50%.
Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you. That's more or less your information is very interesting, and it's good. It's applicable for those who are seeking financial freedom. Thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge and your experience. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Professor Rob,
Yes,
you,
but appreciate what's been said in your presentation is excellent. For a good workshop with investors and people looking to invest. Because of there's so many issues in dealing with property. Unless you have some liquidable assets, it's very difficult to deal with it. And that's why I'm thinking you're talking about investments where you go in with other people and get all the legal stuff together and just put your liquidable assets in with others to properly to get, because California is one of the highest property markets in the country, and just getting that done. So my question is, how do you deal with the concepts of the down payment? Do you say you're gonna live in the investment property if it's apartments or a house, or do you say, because that means that's a higher down payment? But you just said something about you can get some property without no down payment. I never heard of that.
So if you currently own real estate and it's been more than 3 years since you bought, you can buy something that is a little bit bigger. And in some cases, the lender will say, okay, for you to get the better rate, you need to occupy the property. And again, I don't have a big family to move around with. So for me, as a contractor and an investor, I always move into my assets just so I can take advantage of an owner-occupied loan and pay a smaller interest rate. Now, let's just say in your case is, hey, Andre, I'm in a pretty big house. I don't want to downsize. I do not see myself and my family moving in to an apartment so I can get a better rate. And I don't want to lie and say I'm going to occupy the property when I have absolutely no intentions of moving. But what you can do is what they call, and this is a strategies a lot of investors do. If you can find the 20% liquidity in your existing investment.
What do you mean liquidity? What is liquidity? Liquid assets?
Yeah, like equity in your own property. Let's say, your house is worth $1 million, but you only owe $450 on it. Right? So you have a $500,000 spread between what you owe and what it's worth. Lenders very comfortably is willing to lend you up to 70%, 80%, depending on your FICO score, depending on other compensating factors, as they say, where you can pull that money out buy the investment and the question about moving into the unit does not come into play. The fact that you're just putting such a large down payment down to take possession of the asset. So here's some more insight. And I mean, I learned this through going to a lot of investment seminars. So just imagine, I own an asset that's worth $1 million. I owe 5. I pull out 2, right? Because I don't want to move. I don't want to lie on my purchase agreement or to the lender.
You pull out 2 from your property or from the, you don't have the asset yet.
Are you saying, well, first time buyers, they have 3.5% down programs they can use to get in. 3.5% of the purchase price.
Well, yeah, I mean, with HUD or somebody?
I'm sorry?
With HUD? You talking about buying a government property, HUD, financing?
Yeah, getting
FHA?
FHA financing.
You can get a 3%?
A 3.5%.
Well, what is this talking about the federal government raising interest rate?
Well, interest rate is different from down payment requirements.
No, but interest rate on loans.
I'm sorry, doctor. Can you ask me that question again, a different way?
Okay. You say, well, anyway, I'm talking about to get financed.
Okay.
Any part of the finance. Let's say you put a big down, you still owe. And you're saying you can get that property after you put your down for 3% interest. If you got good FICO score and you put a reasonable down payment and you say you're going to live in it. Then, but when you say you can get a 3% interest, from what financial institution that will give you a 3% interest on the balance of the property loan, what you owe on the property after you put your down, because the government always raising the rates, the interest rates on everything, car rates, house rates, and everything. But how do you get a 3% interest rate?
Okay, so just for clarity, in case I might have misspoken. So when I did say 3.5%, I'm talking exclusively about down payment. That has nothing to do with interest rate.
When you say 3%,
3.5% is like the lowest amount your lender would require of a first-time buyer. They want you to have some kind of skin in the game, and the standard at the very bottom, the lowest amount you're required to bring to the table as a first-time buyer is 3.5% of the purchase price.
Okay.
Now that has nothing to do with interest rate. We're not talking about interest rate. We're just talking about down payment towards the purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And that 3.5% only applies to the purchase price. Now, interest rates, that's another conversation, which it's always in flux.
Okay, let me move on then. Then you have to take into consideration the various taxes in the area when you're investing also, because that contributes also to your interpretation of how you're going to deal with your rentals, from the standpoint of what costs you generally add on in the beginning before you even rent it. Because there's going to be if you're the owner, you're going to have to pay property tax. Even if you own it outright, you still owe property tax. And some places have very high annual taxes, property taxes. In California, you understand. Second, it depends on the area. Now, when you ask Rico about Inglewood, that's one of the hardest markets to get in for any type of investment because of the stadium and the new basketball court stadium and the the casino and then when you say you're gonna convert, how do you? I know the LA is trying to encourage people to convert their garages, but the people that's living there, wasn't that their garages? So when they rent it in the beginning, they had a garage. So you finna take it and turn it into an apartment.
No, I wouldn't say I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna, from the time we signed a lease agreement, I'm disclosing it's street parking. It's street
Well,
parking.
but that depends on but that depends on when you bought it and when you start renting it. Let's say, for instance, you said the lady that's been there for decades. She rented it with a garage, even if she just used it for storage. You understand what I'm saying? And and you become the new owner, and you saying, hey, look, I want you to move out your garage and do street parking, or either she say, no, at the beginning, this is what it was, and you may be in litigation for years or so.
Mhm. Let me ask you a question. Let's just suppose you're paying $1,000 for a 1 bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with a garage, right?
Yeah.
And let's say there's plenty of street parking. A lot of people that have cars that have garages, they don't want to go through the trouble of opening up the door, especially if it's not an automatic door and it's off of an alley and they feel unsafe. And I approach you and say, you know what? Based on where you are on the property, doctor, would you be okay if I took $100 off your rent because you're already parking outside? Are you okay with that? If you choose to say no, then it's no.
Okay, I got that. Now, when you looking for investors, what standard does you use to take an investor serious, not wasting your time and it's serious? What benchmarks you have that you check? Especially first time investors, it's hard to find benchmarks. But
Well, for me, in thinking of the importance of having understanding first, because just as a single young man, I knew if I said the wrong thing to someone I'm interested in taking out, they're not going to be interested. But if I approach it from a standpoint of bringing them some value, what I'm offering could benefit you, people will somehow find a way to find the money. Whether even if you're just planting the seed. I'm gonna be frank. Again, I had two sides to my whole family, kind of like Robert Kiyosaki. And I always scratched my head because I came from the poor side. Okay, they're supposed to be my blood. What are they doing differently that this side of my family is not doing? First, when you educate people, give people understanding and show them how. People, if they have any ambition, is something you can't give people. And also, I understand life is a numbers game. Nothing is guaranteed. The world is a big place. And yes, 9 out of 10 people, no matter how much education I give them, they're not interested. This is for those who are.
Yeah, people looking to invest. Yeah.
This is for those that, like me, that when I went to go visit this rich uncle and auntie, and my cousins and them had bicycles and I didn't have one. And then we used to go camping to the beach and they had cars and collector cars and more cars than they can drive. And my mother never had one. I'm like, what are they doing?
But over 80% of the people live paycheck to paycheck, and their only asset, only personal wealth is their ownership in property if they have a house. If they're leasing and renting, they're really in bad shape if they're leaving from parents. Now, answer me a question about the and a lot of people go to management companies because they don't like evicting people, and the management company do all the paperwork and make sure do their property inspections and all that type of stuff nowadays. I know we used to rent when I was coming up, we never had inspection. But now you lease property out or rent it out, the owners or the management company in the lease or the rental agreement say they're gonna have sometimes annual inspection, sometimes quarterly, sometimes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so my problem is, see, it's easy to go in investment and fix up property. People that want to move out the state and they want to sell their house fast. They're trying to go to Texas or somewhere, where it's cheaper property and things of that nature. So how do you deal with all this, man? I mean, the real estate business is good. Waiting for stuff to get out of escrow is hard because it can fall out. You understand? You put all that work in and then last minute they find out that this person, can't verify where they got their down or anything. You understand what I mean?
I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's a tough business. Are you a member of the Black Real Estate Association with Stan Jackson and them?
I used to go right here to Consolidated Realty years ago.
Yeah, right there off of off of Stocker.
Yeah, off of Stocker and I know the street you're talking about.
Yeah.
I used to go to those meetings.
Santa Rosalia, I think it is, something like that. But the point is man, investments comes in different ways. You can invest in property, you can invest in stock market, you can invest in crypto or stuff like that. But you got to have liquidable funds. Most people say don't invest your personal savings or your personal, savings are, it's money that you can stand to lose if things don't go right.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, many people want to move up, but they really have challenges as far as, and this workshop has helped. Everybody should have this workshop who are thinking about investing. Mm-hmm. So they could ask you questions and at the same time learn a lot about the terminologies and the functions. Because loan companies and things of this nature, unless, like you said, it ain't about getting credit. You're buying money off of your history. Mm-hmm. You understand? You paying somebody to put up money for you. When you go buy a car and you get approved credit, ain't no such thing as credit. It's about you buying money. They're charging you 15, 20% interest in 5-year loan on a $70,000 car, whatever. They're gonna make their money. They get their money off of the finance company and from the dealership, and you have to prove that you can pay money back.
Absolutely.
They don't look at are you paying your rent? Are you paying your kids' school and all that? They look at have a history of paying money back.
Correct.
And then your debt ratio is very important. Mm-hmm. And so, it's just a complicated thing dealing with investment. You have to be a person of medium income and have liquidable assets. And sometimes it's like you, when you started out being single.
Mhm.
So you don't hurt nobody if things go right but yourself. And you see what I'm saying? But when you got a family, it's hard to invest, man. You know, you know, the risk, because it's not just your money, it's their money, it's their school money, it's their Disneyland money, it's their Magic Mountain, their birthday money, you know. So, but anyway, hey man, I love it. I love the presentation. You know?
But you know, Doctor, while you were talking, I wanted to, and I don't want to take up too much time. And you know, again, this is good education. I'm just trying to share. And yes, believe me, my first go around, you know, at 26, buying that fixer upper. I mean, it was probably maybe 7 years before I got used to making the payments, before I understood the importance of saving, stashing my return when I got it. It wasn't for me to go out and buy clothes and go take elaborate vacation. All of this takes discipline, you know, and real estate is not something we're going to get rich overnight doing. It takes time. But what I wanted to show you, just looking at a future value appreciation chart, I'm just trying to pull it up. And I much rather start with a lower number so people can wrap their minds around it. And I'm kind of semi-new to using these presentation slides. But we take an example. Can you still see my screen?
Oh yeah.
I wanna reduce this amount right here. Hold on. I want to get us a number that we can all kind of wrap our minds around. Where are you?
And Brother Tarara had another question for you.
Love it, love it. We're taking questions. We're definitely taking questions. Did they want to ask the question while I'm?
Tarara,
Yeah. I understand about wealth building and so many different forms that we can go into to achieve that. And I know real estate is a very powerful model.
Mm-hmm.
My first question that I asked before was geared towards what I understand about the plight of my people. I'm more of on a black nationalist type of thing, race first. How do we become self-sufficient, self-determined, um, self-reliant, no matter what the investment strategy is. No matter what it is, I'm looking for an understanding of an investment that would not only be an individual investment, but maybe a collective investment. And that's why I asked about the compound family. We're right now living in the state of a nuclear family, which was actually created out of the compound family. That's why I asked about land. And even if you may not be familiar with that or have much experience in that, maybe you may know someone or a group of people that, and I'm talking about Black people, that is trying to strategize in order to resurrect and deliver our people from this chaos that's right now in the world, and real estate is a good way to do it, because you not only there's not only real estate that's buildings, because what happened was the compound family was broken up, and
land developers took over and created homes for sale. And in so doing, they created the nuclear family. So that's why my goal is anything to do with real estate has to be with land, because that's what gives you life, and that what gives you self-sufficiency. That's what gives you the ability to be self-determined, to be self-reliant, and that's why I asked that question. So, you know, um, brother Professor Dr. Ra, he mentioned, about investment, and it's so true, because when you go into the world of investment, the rule is that, you use investment money as money that you can afford to lose if necessary, because that's what investments are. It's not necessarily always a win-win situation. So basically, that's what I'm interested in. That I don't know you that at all. First, I'm listening to you, and I'm kind of, you sound like you really understand how numbers go. I'm wondering, how do you equate your mindset and mental faculty pertaining to real estate with my personal goal? How can I link with others? How can I, because like I said, I'm more interested in Black nationalism. How can we own things that will help our people? You understand what I'm saying? I don't even know if I'm saying this correctly, but
Oh, you are saying it correctly.
Yeah.
So I started, and I'm sorry if this is a roundabout way of answering your question, but I started this presentation very early, and I mentioned this book. Right now, I have 2 decent library of books. And I'll be honest with you, when I grew up, I was never a reader. This gentleman, for no reason, gave me this book, for whatever reason. And in reading it, the power of your mind to envision, to think, to process different thoughts and idea, and knowing you are a conscious spiritual being that has been sent here, placed here. I don't know where you are consciously for a purpose. And I don't know about you, every day lately, maybe the last 40 years, starting with this book, it is giving me something to think about. And then I start strategizing and I start taking steps. And I get to find out where in this world you can take a thought, being a Black man, in the struggle of Black people, of all the worst places, this is the best place to be, where we have the freedom, although a lot of it is they're trying to take it away, to process ideas and take the steps and test these things out to find out you can create through implementing ideas and thought, no matter what you're trying to do. There is countless stories of people that come from poverty that has the same common denominator in terms of how I did it. It started with someone that exposed me, showed me, told me, do this, do that, read this, go over here. You know, and this is, it chills me to think about it. My home was in foreclosure in 1996. I think it was the savings and loan or the Enron. The economy was just in a little slump at the time. Some of you guys are young enough to know about the Enron savings and loan, one of those markets. And the city had laid me off. There just wasn't enough work. And I remember one of the chapters in this book, it deals with faith. And that's like one of those little hazy things to most people. Faith, like, what is that? You know, how do you put your fingers on it? How do you explain that? I don't know how to explain it, but I'll tell you this. You might need to read that chapter among other chapters in this book. And a friend of mine's, it was a Labor Day weekend, and I wasn't an official member of a black ski club. And me and this guy, we were single, and we would always go to these Labor Day event out in Vegas for other reasons, right? Besides having fun. And the night before or the week before, he's like, hey, you know, we're going to Lake Mead. We're going to the lake. Everybody's going to be partying. And I'm like, man, look, that's the last thing on my mind right now. I'm trying to save my house. And within a day or two or whatever the case may be, something in the book came to me about believing or having faith in something that is not just believing. And I believe God brought me here for a reason. He wants me to have nice things. And the friend came the Thursday night before we would normally leave to drive up to Vegas at 11 o'clock at night. I'm telling you this as a fact. And he says, come on, man, I got an ice chest. I got food. We got our own tent. We don't need no damn boat. We going to the lake. Come on, man. I got everything else taken care of. He was still employed. What are you going to do? Stay home and worried? Stay worried about something you can't do anything about? And I just thought to myself, shit, you know, okay, whatever, man, let's go. On that trip, I met a young lady whose father wasn't a licensed contractor, but he was heavily invested in real estate. He was a longshoreman. And she, you know, we became intimate and started getting close. And of course, you know, maybe I shared some things with her. And she said, you know what? That's what it was. And maybe next time if you invite me back, Ringo, I'll have the photos. That's what I was doing. I was building the 2 units in my backyard. So I had the shell up, I had the roof on, the inside was empty and no money to finish. So that's where, when she saw what was going on, she's like, when are you gonna finish? What's going on? I'm like, I'm out of money. She goes, you know, my dad is a contractor, you know, he's got guys. So I met him, I told him the situation. He understood if I completed the 2 units, I would go from a value of just a house to 3 units, which would jump my equity position. And he says, when I help you finish it, just refinance, because that's a natural strategy in owning real estate investment property. Once you get your CFO, your certificate of occupancy, and you can rent it out, you can go to a bank and go, I don't have 1 unit, I have 3 units. And this is my debt. And this is what it's worth, 3 units, almost $1 million. I need some money. They make money lending money. And it just confirmed many of the philosophy and the thoughts in this book that you, as a human being, a conscious being, a spiritual being, have access to the same information. But a lot of times, you know, if we don't belong to groups like this where people are bringing information in that is of value and stirring thought, a lot of our people are just stuck. They got their health, and that's really all they need to turn their lives around.
Yes. May I interject for a moment?
Sure, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't need to get off into that spin there.
No. I wanted you to do that because I'm very familiar with Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you love this Think and Grow Rich, You know what his first book was, right? Are you familiar with his first book?
Help me out, big brother.
His first book is called what is it? The Lessons of Success in 16 Lessons. No, it's called look. I can't quote the exact title of the book because it just slipped my mind, you know.
Well, no,
But
you were already right on. I'm gonna tell you right now. So watch
Mhm.
this to show you how they talk about less than 3 degrees of separation or whatever the number is.
Mhm.
I have that book you're talking about.
Right.
This book here in the very
Mhm.
back of the book, right? They
Yes.
show you the what do you call those people that print these books? Whatever,
Publishers.
publisher, right?
Mhm.
And because this book so changed my mind, this place is up in the valley. I personally, because the book got me going in such has was changed my life so much once I realized just to try some of the thoughts and things or thought experience the books it was trying to share with me. I went to
Mhm.
the location, and I have it's almost it's a very thick book. It's two of them.
Yes.
I have both of them.
Well, it's called the Lessons of Success in 16 Lessons. Now that was his initial book. That is the first book he wrote.
Mm-hmm.
He was commissioned to write it by Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie funded his whole thing, and it took him about 20 years to write it. And he sat with all of the most wealthiest men in America
Absolutely, brother.
to understand how their minds work. And at the end of his research, he came up with the lessons to success in 16 lessons. Now, out of that, when it was published and this released to the public, everyone that read it and followed the instructions in that book became multimillionaires. The multimillionaires that knew this and saw this happening, they bought every copy and took it out of circulation because they didn't want everybody getting rich. So what they did, they told Napoleon Hill to write another book, and that's when he wrote Think and Grow Rich. So this is the
Watered down
accent.
version.
Yes. Now, in this book, why it was so powerful, and why I was listening to you, Napoleon Hill came up with this concept or this idea, called the mastermind. Now, the mastermind truly and really works, and what you experienced, your story that you was telling, you going out with your friends and what you wanted to do, and the position you was in. See, that was the mastermind at work. And we did a show yesterday, where I was speaking about we were speaking about the life. And see, Napoleon Hill really is not the one that came up with the mastermind, but you know how they work.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, so that's really coming from our spiritual energy as a people. So and that's why I was asking you what I was asking you, because I operate on that level of consciousness. I know that, okay, your mind, once you're reading this, once you already understand that, means your mind is now calibrated. I'm already calibrated also. So if your mind is calibrated, my mind is calibrated, what we have is the mastermind, where two or three are gathered, the Most High is in the midst. The midst, the one that's in the midst is the mastermind, the mind of the master of minds, the mind of all minds, which is life force energy. That's why I asked you what I asked you, because I understand one of the things that they did to us was they took our land from us. And with our land, the family was protected because it was the compound family. So if you have 5 acres of land, or you have 10 acres of land, and you have 5 children, each of those children is going to build a house on your land, on that land. So it's going to be, let's say each of your child, now you have 5 children, and they go out and one becomes a doctor, the other one becomes a lawyer, the other one becomes a carpenter, another one becomes an electrical engineer, then all of those crafts is on that land. You could build whatever you want to build on that land. You have now, you could build a town, a small town. 5 acres of land, 10 acres of land could hold a town. Washington, D.C. was built on less than that. You know, so this is why I ask these questions, because as we are as individuals seeking wealth, we ought to, don't have to, but we ought to think of where we're coming from. We are the product of the souls of those that came before us. We are here because of those that walked a particular walk that enabled us to be here today. So whatever achievements we are seeking and we're looking for success and happiness or whatever, we ought to then resurrect the happiness and the joy that was there before it was taken away from us. You know, correct ourselves. You know, we try to correct the system. We try to correct the politicians. We try to correct all these different things, but we're not correcting ourselves. So that's why I asked about what I asked. And I'm so happy that you brought this book into the perspective, because you're absolutely right. You know, and I'm just adding to that to say, unite. Let us raise up the master's mind, the mastermind. Let us bring it up. You know, so you're over, I'm in Georgia. You know, you're over in California. That's not a barrier, you know, because there's all that land in between. So, you know, connect with your people, man. Find out how can we acquire land and get some land, and let's start working. Let's start putting this thing together. You know, I have other things I could say, but I'm not going to say it right now. That would be an asset to that type of situation. You understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, what was your name, brother?
I'm Chihuahua. Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, the meaning of that name is the harmonious unity of creation. It's very Chihuahua, like in war with an A at the end.
Chihuahua.
Yes, Chihuahua. Yes, and you're Andre, right?
Yeah, Andre.
Yes, I got your digits. I got it off the screen. You know, my intention is to give you a call and we can talk privately. You know, because I'm not an expert at real estate or anything like that, but I'm quite sure you're in an arena with others. You know what I'm saying? And to be on this conscious corner means that we are progressive people.
And attracting, you know.
Yes. So we can definitely exchange certain things and information, positions that I'm in that you may be able to capitalize from, and you capitalizing from what I may be already involved in means that we're growing and we can grow and we can capitalize together. See, but we need to do this thing in what you say covert energy, but this is the overt energy, which is good. That actually this is where we meet and we're introduced to each other. So I thank brother Professor Dr. Ra and my good brother, Brother Ras Haki, for having this forum and having it available for people like yourself and myself to meet up. All right. Peace and love, man. I'm going to continue listening. Okay.
And I appreciate all that input. One of the, you know, this is the first time I put together a slideshow, right? Because there was a time, and I'll make it short, from 93, from the time I got the help of that young lady's father, I was on a trajectory. I had a duplex me and my father owned, a triplex that I built, and 3 single family homes, right? And, you know, everybody's aware of that market, the creative financing, the state of income loans that I got involved with in buying investment. And I didn't understand credit. I mean, I had no discipline when it came down to money. I didn't even know what I had. And whenever a loan officer would present documents to me, as long as there was a yes at the end of the contract that I was going to get the loan, I signed it. But I'm not that kind of person anymore. But it's not enough that I've learned, made errors, lost it all, come back, and don't think it's important to share. And that's why, you know, I'm here. I'm feeling young again. And this time around, it's going to be a lot different, because when you're sharing you're collaborating and we're doing exactly like you're saying, like Napoleon talked about. When two or more are gathered, I understand that synergy like no one else, because I've not started to really collect conscious people phone number and email so I can start blasting out, which is a form of leveraging and sharing information that's of value to them. Because when I help them grow, I grow. And I'm just getting warmed up, man. But I appreciate the your comments, man. And you've already spoke on it. And I mean, I got many books that I've taken nuggets out of and I've applied them to my business. And I was a high school dropout. And I'm sorry, sold drugs, trying to survive, homeless, living in a building. Had a nervous breakdown at 17. But something was always entering my consciousness, talking to me, telling me there's a better way, you can do it. Find out, ask questions, get up, go to work, figure it out, take better care of yourself, read this book. And I have to admit, my life has been, I'm very grateful. But, having money, owning property, and you're the only one happy, that's not how it works.
I'll tell you what that one thing that was happening, that was going through. I'm gonna give it to you in one word. It was life. Life was coursing through your being and was carrying you, because that was your journey. Even now, you're having the same journey. No matter what it is, it's life.
Mm.
And deep inside of you, there's a what you call a program. When they talk about AI, we are the original AI. When the Bible, I'm not trying to be religious or anything, but when the Bible says, come, let us make man in our own image and after our own likeness and after our own kind, that was the first AI created. Man is the first AI, and life created him and made him. You see? So when you see they talk about these things, we talk about now, how do we separate this AI? We deal with intelligence. The highest intelligence is then connected to the original AI. Now, the highest intelligence, as per today, based upon the discovery of the God theorem, discovered by Gabriel Oyibo of Nigeria in 1990, Gij, J equals 0, which is also called Gagut. You can look it up, Gagut. It proves that the black man, that the black people is the most intelligent people on the planet amongst all human beings. There's also another study that proves that the black people are the only people that have 100% human DNA and no Neanderthal mixed up in their DNA. So, just to give you that information so that we will know who we are. And this is what's missing in the educational system. Our children lack the knowledge of who they really and actually are. And, that's why I'm so interested more in unification, uniting black people, black men, like yourself, especially black men, uniting together and taking charge and taking command of what happens to us from this day forward. This is the time for it. This is our time. And we need to understand that, and we need to take charge. So, I'll definitely be reconnecting with you. Positive vibration.
Positive, man.
I wanted to see if Brother Mashinda had any questions for you before we get out of here, because we're coming up on 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I wanted to get Brother Mashinda in there. He may have had a question. Brother Mashinda.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Surely can.
Clear.
Yeah. Well, I've been in and out. I've been at a wrestling match. My nephew was involved today, so I kind of got sidetracked. And I may be entering a dead zone. Am I still heard right now?
We can hear you.
Okay. So, I'm just going to go back and listen to the recording of this podcast, and appreciate Brother Andre giving the information. I'm very interested in real estate myself. You know, always have been to a certain degree, and I just want to be a part of that mailing list for those blasts, and maybe you know, at some point in time, you know, I can reach out to you and have a conversation, kind of like Brother Robert said, you know. But I'm interested in, you know, just advice and not just advice, but just kind of, you know, after I look at the video, I may have some questions in if you have time to answer them at some point. Okay.
And for you and all the other listeners, I love to talk real estate. Ideally, Sundays is like wide open. Usually during the week, I'm running, helping people, but and then when I come in, you know, I'm thankful now because of the daylight. It gets dark early because I'm the kind of guy. If I'm working in the business, this is my passion. I keep going and going, and I seem to forget. I need to get home. I need to eat dinner at a reasonable time. I need to get to bed. Tomorrow's another day. Instead of me just going and trying to do it. So if you can, save my information. Not this number. Let me give you the other one. Call me on the 400 number. Sundays, usually I come back from a therapeutic walk with me and God and the sun and just kind of clear myself out, you know, from the week. And if you call me anytime after 1 o'clock, if you don't get me, text me and I'm gonna call you back, brother. Love to talk real estate, love to talk investment. And like I told Ringo, when we talked briefly before, making sure I'm all set up to go, the goal was never to sell anything. The information has empowered me, gave me freedom beyond belief. And I want to share, man. This is good stuff, you know.
Sounds great. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brother Andre, can we do a part 2?
I would love that, and especially for Dr. Raw, I want to get into I didn't get it for some reason. Like I said, I'm new to using slides and doing presentations, but I want to get into the numbers in Excel and just show you over time, if you're patient and you're disciplined, you know, how you can get your real estate to grow your wealth for you. So then now you have some money to work with.
Yeah, but Andre,
Yes,
you have more than just money. You have skill. A licensed contractor, electrician. I mean, you cut a lot of costs. You understand? You know, especially if you do a lot of your own work from labor on fix-up property or investment property. You know, and you're very sharp. You know, you learn from mistakes. You understand? You learn by listening from other people who made mistakes, and you educated yourself in this business. You understand? But somewhere you had to get the vocational skills to become an electrician and a licensed contractor, as far as being able to go through OSHA, go through all those type of things. Is that a general contractor?
Yes.
Okay, so you know you get people to do the work, you know, and you go behind them and make sure they do it right. Then the inspector
at this age, yes, but
it's the inspector come behind you and make sure that you meet the codes, because that's something. But I want to ask you one more question about the property. You're converting the garages, and that in LA. I thought that was for people who wanted to build apartments in their house for the house, not the home, they call them the unhoused. You know, I can't remember what that was about, but converting garages and things of this nature.
Well, they're allowing it first it was just for homeowners, right?
Yeah.
Now they're allowing multifamily owners that have these buildings where there's ample street parking Because the housing is the issue. That's the problem they're trying to solve.
Pretty soon LA is going to be just like New York. They're going to be turning warehouses into lofts and I mean, you got multi-million-dollar lofts in New York. People buy the whole floor, decorated, turned into 10 bedrooms and 10, But anyway, it's good talking to you, brother. It's good listening to you, and you're already ahead. It seems easy to you, but most of our people, most people, period, not just us, are leery about investments because as Shawara said, it's about land. Malcolm said that. And then you got minerals in the land, who own the minerals and rights and all that type of stuff. It's a very complicated issue, investments. And you got to know what you're doing. Because look what happened to the people at Bruce Beach in Manhattan. It took them 100 years, damn near, to get the property back. and whoo, man, it's investments, man. And if you're in the game already, you really know it, from trial and error.
Yes.
But for new people, whoo, man, it's just a spooky thing because, people just leery about taking their savings or taking money that they can liquidate and putting it in something without double checking, triple checking, calling you all night. How's my money doing? And all that stuff. But anyway, it's a beautiful discussion, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys for interacting. And one of the things I wanted to put in the slides that I wanted to ask, because ideas are coming to me, is if anybody can, officially some anonymous way, whether it's an email, and say, hey, brother, the next time you do a presentation, one of the things you can implement in addition to what you do to make it more informational or applicable or connect a little bit better with the audience. If you have any idea, any criticism, because I want to share the information, I want to figure out how to impart the information in such a way we're getting it, that we can go out and do what I do, because I'm not going to be around forever. And another thing is that is very that pains me about this industry, because when I came to LA in the 90s and was doing side jobs in addition to working for the city, there was a lot of brothers in this industry. Actually, there was a few sisters, because I started speculating early, that was in construction. Check that out. But I'm gonna tell you, Marion, right now, it bothers me because probably 90% of the contract that I may give to a homeowner to do a build out, Black people are not getting it. Black men are not getting it. I can't even find them. And then one of the campaigns that I'm working on using text message, because besides getting real estate information out, is touching Black men and women that I have their information and say, hey, if you have any young people that is out of school on the weekend, that you want to give them like a summer part-time job, that you want them to come to work and shadow me, talk to me, ask me questions. That's because nobody's employing our young people, so they can learn and plant that seed. It can change everything for them. The Hispanic subcontractors that come to my job site, especially on the weekends, or if I'm not over there, like really monitoring them, they bring in their daughters, they bring in their sons. Some of them bring their wives. And it troubles me. So I just want to leave that with you guys and let that kind of marinate. Some of you may not be in the LA area, but just kind of keep that in mind, because that's one of the things I want to start.
I would love to address that with you. I'm going to call you and we're going to address that.
Okay.
This is 2 hours. I will definitely, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because there's a new faculty of mind that mankind has nothing to do with.
Mhm.
There's when we were enslaved in this country, a lot of us think it's because of this or that while we're no longer enslaved, but it wasn't. It was because life had determined the period of time that an enslavement would be. So those that had us enslaved had no choice but to release us from that captivity. That not that we're free now, we are, but our minds is not free. So this is the age now, in this millennium is when our minds are being freed, whether we want it to be free or not. So you're a part of that. I can tell that you're a part of that simply because I asked a question and you pull up Think and Grow Rich. See, that's a sign for me to know who you are and what life has in store for you.
Mhm.
I just have to, speak with you further elaboration, and then, we can see what can happen. You know what I mean? Because there are things that, like I said, I wouldn't speak on an open platform.
Mhm.
Because things that certain people out there, they got ears all over the place. Because they think they're God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and as one young lady told me, a wise lady told me, she goes, not because of your skin doesn't make you a kin. So we got people out there sabotaging our people.
Absolutely,
Going, what?
absolutely.
Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, I'm going to expose them for bringing up the black thing or whatever. It's real.
So listen, fellas, we're gonna have to take our pause, and we're gonna do a part 2 with Brother Andre Rose.
I like that. I like that.
And I like all the connections that's been happening this evening.
Mhm.
And we are at 3 years next week, and we're
Mhm.
gonna have an anniversary show. So I'm looking forward to that. We're
Mhm.
gonna just sit and talk, and the team members, hopefully they come out. I already invited everybody.
Mhm.
Andre, you can come out if you have time. We're gonna be here to next week at 6. We're gonna talk about what we've been doing and what we gonna do, and I know I enjoy it. So I'm ecstatic,
Mhm.
about what's going on, and we just gonna keep doing it. So
Well, I'll have a surprise for you.
okay,
I'll have a real big surprise for you. I ain't gonna tell you what it is though.
you coming next week?
Man, I have to be here. Conscious Corner? Come
Well,
on, brother.
we on next Wednesday. This is the CEN show, but it's the same thing. It's just
Uh,
we the
But
same.
it's still, Conscious Corner and is is the place where all of this happens. You know what I mean? CNN, what do you call it? Is it CN what?
CEN, the Community Education Network.
Yeah, Conscious Corner. There it is. It's consciousness, brother.
Okay.
That's what brought me here.
mhm.
Conscious Corner. I used to have a radio program in Florida called um, Conscious Vibrations.
Okay.
It was on a WAVS 1170. It was an AM radio station. And I ran that for about 2 years. It's a bunch of stuff I used to do. I started a program in Florida called Elders Day. I've been doing that now for about, what, we going on 20 years, 25 years.
That's still
You
in
know,
that's still in circulation.
yeah, we do that every year.
Okay. Oh, is it
What we
once a
do,
year?
yeah, down in Florida. I'm in Atlanta now, but I go down and keep it going.
Oh,
Um,
it's a in-person thing.
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You know, um, we gather all the elders from around the communities wherever they come from, and what I do, I bathe the feet of the elders, and we have the elders come out, and then other people in the community, like people that do hair, people that do massage, people that do all kind of different things, and we pamper the elders, and we have the young people perform for them, and there's a point where we have them confront the elders and what they call it, apologize for the neglect they've been, because we are elders, but we don't have to be elderly. See,
Yeah.
there's a big difference between elders and elderly. The society that enslaved our foreparents created elderly people. but we were never elderly. We were all was elders, but we never were sickly. See, the elderly people are sickly people, but the elders are not sickly. I mean, stuff I do right now, 40 and 45 and 50-year-old men can't even do it. And I'm tripping. I'm like, what the hell wrong with these brothers? You know? And that's just how it is. So, you know, we've been doing that, like I say, I think going on in next year will be our 24th or 25th year, something like that.
Wow.
You know, so that's what we do, man. That's one of the things I do. I don't talk about it much, you know, because that's not the goal. We're still not liberated, you know? And so until we're liberated, it doesn't matter what works we do. I don't want no accolades for nothing. I just want to keep, until we're liberated, until we are truly liberated, meaning left the hell alone to grow, to progress, to build value, you know? So I appreciate the love, you know, I appreciate the love, Professor Ra.
Yes, sir.
Faki, my brother Andre. I'm making new connections here, and I'm looking forward to sharing more and more.
Yeah, you got brother Machinda here too now.
Oh yeah.
So okay, we're gonna take our pause. So
yeah, peace and love, man.
I'm gonna say Conscious Corner, and each one teach one. Have
Yes.
a great evening.
And we appreciate you, Brother Andre.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having